All right, there we go. All right, I apologize for that. It's Restream again. Wouldn't let me go live. Like 5 times. I'm like, go live. Nah, go live. Nah, go live. Nah. All right, folks, welcome in. I don't know if you heard anything that I said there in the beginning, but we are now live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, streaming hot fire on the RadioMisfits.com platform. All your podcast needs can be accommodated there at RadioMisfits.com. Sounds like somebody is going to have to reboot. All right, I need more information than that. I need right now. Does it sound okay? Is everything okay? Because the most recent thing I see in the chat, due to the delay, there's like a 30-second delay in the chat, is Al saying that it sounds like somebody's going to have to reboot. Okay, I did everything I needed to do. Then I saw that. So I'm wondering now, right now, anyone in the chat room, does this sound okay? Hi, Peter. I see Peter. Peter says there you are, but does it sound okay? Or is Al correct when he says that it sounds like I need to reboot? I'm just so frustrated. Getting ready to end this thing. Getting ready to go commercial. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go corporate. Just so y'all know. Because this shit's got to end. All right, that's what we do here. We rant. I get mad. I scream. I yell. We talk about the world. Everything is peachy. All right. Thank you so much, Peter. That's my guy. Twitch is, I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about Twitch. Okay? I really don't. That is not something that I'm even remotely interested in for this project. Of course, there's a problem with Twitch. There's a problem with everything. Al says, can you see what we're seeing? Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat room. Everything's fine. Byron says it sounds good. I trust Byron. There's Ape. Hi, Ape. All right, and now Twitch is working. Okay, whatever. Oh, my God. Hi, April. April says, hey, y'all. Well, I say hey right back to April. Everybody in the chat room is accounted for. No, that's not true. I haven't done the full accounting yet. What we do like to do here at the start of each show is kind of like in F1 where they do a podium. Like they don't just make the guy who won the race feel good. They make second and third place feel good. It's called the podium. It's first, second, and third place. And I like to reward our early chatters with podiums. So the first 3 people in, let's see, who do we got today? Peter. Yeah, it's Peter. Peter's first in. Look at him. Second across the checkered flag was Al. And then look at this, the Dark Lord himself, Byron. Very good. Adam's here. He comes in fourth. He says hello or hola, whatever. You know, it's funny. I have neighbors. I've told you about the Polish Tony Soprano who lives next door. I'm not going to say anything more than that. He's awesome. I mean, he's awesome, but he's from Poland. His whole family is from Poland. And they throw get-togethers in the backyard, you know, all the time. And all the Polish Goombas show up in there in the backyard. And I have this crazy Pope balcony. I call it the Pope balcony. It's a balcony, but it's super high up and it's weird. It's like the entire neighborhood can see me when I'm out there. At first, I had a problem with that, but now I embrace it. I'd love to be able to sit out there naked. Well, maybe not naked because I don't go outside naked ever. That's a rule. You don't go outside naked. You're a human being. If you're civilized, you always at least have underpants on. Anyway, it would be nice, I guess, if the opportunity presented itself for me to be able to sit outside naked. But I can't because the Pope balcony, there's way too much going on. Anyway, right down below me there, next to us, we have the Polish Tony Soprano. It's a bunch of Goomba looking guys. I don't know. I asked the other day, I asked somebody, you know, I'm like, what does that dude do for a living? Because I have questions. Anyway, they're out there all the time with their little, they're nice too, but they're good neighbors. And what, I'm going to complain that they're listening to music in their backyard at 10:30 on a Friday night? What am I, an asshole neighbor? No, we live in a community. It's not too loud. It's fine. Now, if I was looking for something to complain about, like if I was one of those people who was constantly mining my dopamine for bursts, then I'd, you know, hear the dog barking and go, fuck them, because that's how we do. It's not how I do, though. So anyway, I like them. They're down there, and I sit out there and watch the airplanes land and all that. But here's the thing. I don't know what they're saying. Everything they're saying is in Polish. We say this because Adam is now using a language other than English. which should make a lot of people angry. Actually, no, it shouldn't make anybody angry, but it does. It makes people angry when you hear another language. Anyway, all they do is, Eastern European, Eastern European, Eastern European. And it doesn't bother me at all. I grew up in a neighborhood on the south side of Chicago that has a lot of Eastern Europeans. It's my entire life growing up. It was Polish people talking Polish and Russian people talking Russian, and we didn't seem to have a problem with it until it was Mexicans. Well, once the Mexicans started speaking their Mexican language, then all of a sudden we had a problem with it. Anyway, my neighbors, all they do is speak Polish, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't care. I don't care what they're saying. You know what? It's none of my business. Anyway, there's Al. Hola. I don't know what that means. That means hello, right? Hola. All right. Very good. Let's see. Who else is in the chat room? I'm kind of ramped up to go fast. I know. I got a lot of stuff to do today. Oh, geez. Baseball, right? We got baseball. Oh, my God. It's Cubs Sox week here in Chicago, and last night was one of the greatest baseball games I ever watched. I don't know what you can compare it to. Last night's Chicago White Sox in Wrigley Field taking on their crosstown rival, the Chicago Cubs. One of the greatest baseball games I ever saw. I can't even be mad. I'm just like, that's baseball, man. The home team did what the home team needs to do. It was great. Anyway, we get another crack at them today. The White Sox Cubs beat the White Sox in extra innings last night. Pete Crow Armstrong, probably the best player in baseball. Yeah, I said it as a Sox fan. I'm not an idiot Sox fan. I can see what's happening. Pete Crow Armstrong did what PCA does. And you know what? I'm rooting for him to get the MVP. I think that'd be great. I think that would be perfect for Cubs. A team that gets wiped out in the first round of the playoffs, but has an MVP candidate who will then leave for the Dodgers. That's my plan. All right, so game 2 tonight. I did want to mention something, though. We got a lot we're going to get into. We'll do the random stories, right? Are we going? Yeah, we're going. I want to make sure we're going. We'll do the random news stories where I will give you all the things that people are talking about, and then we're going to talk about some specific things today, right? Flock cameras. I've been talking about these things. They're starting to get under my skin. I don't know. I'm in the middle. Right? You know what these flock cameras are? Well, if you've read 1984, you've got a pretty good idea of what these flock cameras are, the, slippery slope to. So we're going to talk about that. A lot of people are against them. A lot of people are for them. We're going to kind of break down the pros and the cons. We're going to talk about flock cameras because they're everywhere. People are mad. What else are we going to talk about? Socialism. Holy cow. There's a story out today. Actually, it wasn't out today. It was out Sunday, I think. Washington Post. I don't know when we get to it. I'll cite this source. Socialism. And is it really on the rise in America? We've got some numbers that break it down. It is certainly on the rise among specific people. But what about us, the great unwashed, the peasantry at large? Is socialism taking root? We'll talk about that. Also, found another story. Maybe this one comes from the Post. I don't know. One of these did. It was a story about disinformation. We live in an era where anybody is allowed to pretend they know everything about anything, and then they just say it. And people run with it. We live in the era of disinformation. People do not know what to believe because whatever they want to believe is readily available for them if they so choose to believe what they want to believe as opposed to what might actually be happening. We live in the age of disinformation. So what happened here is someone did a story where they took the same person. I've done this before. This person does, I don't know if it's their thing now as a journalist. I'll find out their name. They do a story where they take all of the major AIs and they ask it the same question, and then they do sort of a consensus. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about the consensus leaders of disinformation in the United States today. We've got Claude AI weighing in. We've got Google AI, and we've got, what's the other one? ChatGPT weighing hiccups. So we're going to go through the list. We're going to see who AI is telling us is lying to us. And then, of course, we'll talk about Hayden Panettiere. I wanted to talk about this yesterday. Didn't do a show yesterday. Was feeling a little bit depressed. And you know what? when you're your own boss and you don't make any money and you're depressed, you can be like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not doing a show today. The show is my problem. Doing the show is my main problem. That is why I am who I am. So I had a bit of a blue moment yesterday. So I decided to just not do a show. I also had a whole lot of stuff that I had to take care of yesterday. A lot of personal stuff that I don't want to bore you with because I could talk about it ad nauseum, but it isn't the sort of thing that's interesting to others. So same kind of day today. Same kind of day today. That's why I wanted to run through this real quick. And then it's all got to be, I got to be home and I got to be ready to do nothing at 6 o'clock. I'm doing nothing at 6 o'clock. I'm turning my phone off. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I don't turn my phone off because my kid's going to be texting me like crazy. I ain't answering any phone calls. All right, there you go. After 6 o'clock tonight, I am done. I have plans to make an incredible dinner, and then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch game 2 of my baseball game tonight. This series for, a lot of people, you're listening to me and you're like, Pugs, it's just baseball. No, it's not. Not when you live in Chicago. It's not. It's different than anywhere else. It's different than in New York. It's different than in Los Angeles. It's different in any other city that has 2 baseball teams. And I'll tell you why. Because there is no other city with 2 baseball teams that have had 2 baseball teams for over 100 years. This is a tradition that goes back to like 1901 between the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Stockings. And so there is generational resentment built in. And that's not to say that doesn't exist in New York with the Mets and the Yankees, but nobody in New York's great-grandfather was a Mets fan. You know what I mean? It doesn't go back that far. It's not as ingrained in the fabric of society. So when the Cubs play the White Sox, we get excited around here, especially, fans of either team. But in general, the whole city sort of takes on the way I would explain it to you guys, my friends in Texas, is it's kind of like Texas OU weekend, right? Except that it's 3 games in a row, 2 times a year, right? So it's just like it's summer. It's what summer is all about. My mom lives in one of the famous Chicagoland area house divideds. A house divided here is a house where a Cub fan married a White Sox fan, and then the kids are just all over the place. Some kids are Cubs, some kids are White Sox. My mom has that going on. My mom is, of course, a proud South Side Irish Catholic woman, so she's dyed in the wool White Sox. Even if she doesn't like baseball, she just knows that that's who she is represented by. Doesn't even like baseball, but she knows she's White Sox. Her husband, Eddie, is a Cub fan. God love him. I mean, this is something that we deal with here in Chicago. It's not like Bears-Packers, where Bears fans just absolutely hate the core identity of all Packer fans. They're just shit people, right? We don't have that with Cubs. Like, White Sox fans don't feel that way about Cubs fans because a lot of us have Cub fans who are moms or grandmas, right? So we can't really have that feeling. But not here, not tonight. Tonight, it's me alone and the game, and I'm just going to get my head straight. Probably get a little high because it's legal here. There's no probably about it. It's part of the plan. But yes, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to watch the baseball game. We'll try and get even. We'll try and 1-1 it, and then tomorrow it'll be a war for the series victory, right? That's what we got to do. So our small talk segment today is going to be about me watching last night the game. I was able to watch both the Chicago White Sox broadcast of the game and the Chicago Cubs broadcast of the game. They're on 2 separate apps, but we live in the age of screens. So I had screens. So what I would do was I had the White Sox broadcast of the game queued up at the same time and synchronized with the Cubs broadcast. And I would just go back and forth with sound to hear what both teams were saying, it was fascinating. I loved it. Both are tremendous broadcasts. Both presentations, the marquee presentation and the CHSN presentation for the White Sox, they're both incredibly well-produced presentations. But I did want to draw attention to something that my son said. Many of you know, my son has been here all summer. He went home last week, and I'm sad. Part of the reason that, Monday was kind of like a blue Monday. But anyway, he went back home, and obviously, he's very much involved in the whole White Sox Cubs thing. So he said something to me. I wanted to mention what my son said. You know, dad and son sitting around talking, right? You know, one of our late night Pope balcony conversations. We started talking about girls because, you know, he's heterosexual, but he, well, geez, that's a bad way to start it. he's not an incel. He's not an incel, but he has some really strong feelings about women in his age group, right? And actually, this led to something really funny. I go, so you like older women, right? I'm like, oh, he likes college girls. I go, like, so, like, what do you find attractive? And he goes, 30. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, every girl that is in my age group, they're all absolutely the same thing. They all look the same. They all talk the same. They are all identical, and none of them are interesting to me. And I'm like, oh, man, that's a tough place to be in. And then he starts talking about how he likes women, how he likes mature women. I'm like, all right, a little bit of, you know, a little concerned, but also I can see it. I'm like, yeah, I can see it. But his statement to me, a 17-year-old Gen Zer who just isn't impressed with his options as far as women. He says to me, they all look the same. And that didn't really register with me, that all young women today are doing the same look. It didn't register to me. I didn't even think about it. And I went, okay, well, they all look the same. I don't know. I seem to see some pretty fine individuals out there. I don't know that they all look the same. But I want to show you an example of something. It clicked for me last night while watching the White Sox Cubs game. It clicked for me what my son said. My son said, all girls today look the same. They all have the same fashion. They all have the same hair. They all do the same makeup. I don't know if they're all listening to the same Kardashian or if that's even an applicable influence in 2026. But whatever it is, he believes that all the women in his age group are dressing and looking and acting exactly the same, that there is zero variety, and he hates it. So let me show you something from last night's Cubs-White Sox game, okay? I think this is, here, let me see if we can find this. Hold on. Let me show you first. All right. Let me pull both of these up. I should have done this before, but honestly, this is just a spur of the moment kind of thing that I'm thinking of doing right now. So, all right, here we go. All right, so the White Sox and the Cubs presentations have women. They have two women that do what I guess in football is known as sideline reporting. In baseball, I don't know, a dugout girl, a dugout reporter, something like that. Okay. So the Cubs have a girl named Taylor McGregor. She's terrific. She's fine at what she does. Taylor McGregor. She is the Chicago Cubs dugout girl. Chicago White Sox have someone named Brooke Fletcher. And we love Brooke. We love Brooke on the South Side. She is White Sox royalty. She is the daughter of Scott Scooter Fletcher, longtime White Sox infielder and Texas Ranger infielder as well. I believe the White Sox traded Scooter to the Rangers and then traded back to get him like 2 years later. Anyway, Brooke Fletcher is our girl. And they're both terrific. And they look nothing alike. They are two completely different women. Here, let me show you Taylor McGregor here. Let me give you a nice... hold on. Just can't believe there we go. There's her images. All right. Yeah. All right. Let me give you Taylor McGregor. This is the girl who does the Cubs stuff. This is Taylor McGregor. This is what she looks like. Okay. Here she is. This is Chicago Cubs sideline reporter, Taylor McGregor. Right? She's very pretty, very good at her job. She does, you know, that's Taylor McGregor. Okay. Now let me show you the Chicago White Sox girl. Okay. Her name is Brooke Fletcher. So here is going to be Brooke Fletcher. They remember what Taylor looks like, right? Okay. So here is Brooke. Let me get a good picture of Brooke. Okay. Where's a good, why doesn't Brooke Fletcher have any, but it's just all pictures of her with her dad? All right, here's Brooke. Okay, this is kind of Brooke Fletcher. Here you go. All right, let's look at this one. Here you go. All right, so you remember what Taylor McGregor looked like? Here's Brooke Fletcher. So this is the White Sox girl. Wish there was a way I could go and do both. I can't do both and toggle back and forth. There's a way to do it. I don't know how to do it. So my point is this. They're two completely different looking women. One is kind of blonde and she has, they just have different features. They look completely different. Let me show you a picture from yesterday of Brooke and Taylor together because the two Chicago dugout girls, they met and, wonderful. They get along. Great. Here we go. Okay. So this is them together. They look exactly the same. This is what my 17-year-old son is talking about when he says every girl looks exactly the same now. Brooke Fletcher and Taylor McGregor do not look anything alike. They are both attractive women, but they are both uniquely attractive in their own way until apparently they get on camera and they put makeup and hair where they look exactly the same. My son is right. There is something going on with younger women that the beauty standard has been sort of stagnated into one look. And that's it. My God. All right, anyway, it's enough about baseball. Let's see here. We talked about our first three in the chat room, right? The chat room, we had Firstin. Well, Firstin was Peter, right? Peter, Al, and Byron. Did I get that right? I think I did. Congratulations. We do need to thank someone. We need to thank our August heroes, and we've got a new one at the top. Why didn't that change? Oh, my God. I thought I changed all of this. Why didn't I do this at the top? Oh, my God, you guys. Don't worry. We're going to get into some stuff. I got to add the new name. I didn't add the new name to the big one, so I'm going to make it all in capitals because that's what we're about. Here we go. All right. Oh my God. There we go. I need a bigger screen. I need a bigger screen. Everything's too small. There we go. All right. Tracy D. I want to thank Tracy D. I didn't do a show yesterday and she tipped the show. She tipped the show big. She tipped the show $60. All right. I got to give these people credit. Those are the kind of bombs that we need on this show. This show hasn't made $400 in a month in 3 months. The show doesn't make $100 a week. The show, which averages 2 hours, doesn't make $10 an hour. It doesn't make minimum wage. So when I don't do a show and someone like Tracy is like, you know what, it's time to tip this month, I do appreciate it. So thank you, Tracy. Tracy joins Leslie C., who was first in for the month, Peter, who tips all the time, Barney, Big Al, Big Luke, Mike D., and Jen HS. We know she's Jen HS now. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We need you to tip. Nobody has tipped this month. Very few people have tipped this month. So help the show out if you can, and that'll be that with that. All right. Hold on. I got to fix my screen now. Ugh. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's a fat fingers and a small screen, whatever you want to call it. All right, let's get the scroll going right there. There you are. All right, so all the people who have helped out the show this month are accounted for. And thank you so much to Tracy. You have no idea. You have no idea how a tip like that changes everything. Especially on a day yesterday, Monday, where I'm doing a whole shit ton of stuff. I didn't have time for the show. Wasn't in the headspace to do the show. Did a bunch of yard work, though. Then went to a meeting, then did the baseball thing. Not a good meeting, though. Not a job meeting. A different kind of meeting. But it was still a fine meeting. It was fine. Boy, I am hot. I got to tell you, I am hot. All right, let's see here. What do we want to do here first? Let's get into, let's just do today's top headlines. All right, here we go. This is where we run down all the things, the top stories of the day. Spend a little bit of time again, these aren't things. These are things you need to know. Okay, this is dinner table stuff. All right, let's see here. The big stories. We got a bunch of trials here. We'll catch you caught up on some of these trials because some big things have happened. But elections are the big story today. The August primaries are underway. Voters are heading to the polls for highly anticipated primary elections in Alaska. Nobody cares about Alaska. Florida. Florida's a big one. Some tests there in Florida tonight. And Wyoming. Again, nobody cares about Wyoming. The whole reason that this is a story is because Florida is voting today. Alaska and Wyoming, you don't count. I know almost no one will say that to you, but I will. You don't count. Combined, you're like, what, 100,000 people? You don't count. Sorry, Alaska. Sorry, Wyoming. This is all about Florida tonight. Disney and ABC are doing what CBS refuses to do. CBS, of course, famously when screwed with. We'll just say screwed with. When CBS was screwed with by this administration, they rolled over and they went, what can we do, oh master? Not ABC. ABC and Disney, because you don't fuck with the mouse. They filed a major lawsuit against the Federal Communications Commission. The suit accuses the Trump administration directly of orchestrating a, quote, retaliatory campaign after the agency ordered Disney-owned TV stations to file license renewals ahead of schedule. Remember this story from a couple months ago? Trump got all butthurt about something that he saw on Jimmy Kimmel. It was Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, it was because Jimmy Kimmel said some mean things that the big, tough, totally not a snowflake president got upset about and then demanded, because I am the king, that ABC fire Kimmel. And ABC went, oh, blow it out your ass, stupid. He's going to be here on our network long after you're in prison. So just shut up. Trump didn't like that. So the FCC decided they would get all activist, because that's what we like from our government entities. They got all activist, and they decided that, oh, you know what, ABC, all of your local stations now have to apply for FCC approval early because we said so. It's one of those deals. So, yeah. So Disney, thank you. Far be it from me to ever stand up for the Walt Disney Corporation. But Disney and ABC are saying to Trump, shut up, which is great. Talked about the trials. There's some big trials going on. Social media especially has taken notice. We've got Meta. Meta's social media addiction trial begins. We talked about this a couple of months back when it was, I don't know what they were doing, but Zuckerberg was there, so we talked about it. Meta is facing a massive 29-state trial that officially kicked off today. The lawsuit allegations target the addictive nature of Instagram and Facebook and could radically reshape the platforms. Let's go! I hate social media. I hate what social media has done to this country. And 10 years ago, when the subject of social media came out, I would have fought you tooth and nail about how there shouldn't be any sort of regulation or censorship of social media. That was 10 years ago. We've seen what 10 years of that. We can all be trusted. We're good people. The people need to be heard. 10 years of that nonsense has told me that we need to seriously regulate social media. Yeah. Sorry, but we do. Look at me. Yeah, a bit of a nanny state kind of perspective from a guy who says he likes to lean left, but it all tracks. So that started today. The Tupac Shakur trial, that's the one that I'm paying attention to. That's the fun one. Although that's like a slam dunk. I'm looking at the Tupac Shakur murder trial. Keith D, former shot caller for the South Compton Crips, he's on trial because he was in the car that apparently pulled up alongside Tupac and killed him. You know, shot Tupac and Suge Knight after the Tyson fight there in Las Vegas in '96. So Keith D was the shot caller in the backseat. Orlando Anderson, what was his name? He had some really cool name. Some really cool hip-hop Compton name. Like Oogie Juice or something. I don't know, whatever. The guy who actually pulled the trigger, well, he got capped himself about 26 years ago. So he's out of the picture. So the first charges in this Tupac murder trial being brought against Keith D. Keith D, the guy who supposedly ordered the hit. He was also there in the back seat. It says, opening statements and witness testimonies begin in the first day of the high-profile murder trial of Dwayne Keith D. Davis, the former Los Angeles gang leader accused of masterminding the '96 drive-by killing of Tupac Shakur. All right. Also, this entire case is his own words. It's his own words. Because, see, Keith D was involved in this, and then the shooter died. And as soon as the shooter died, Keith D thought, you know what? I'm tired of walking around these mean streets of South Compton with unk status. I want some grand unk status. I need my street rep to be known far and wide. So he started talking. So Keith D started talking about how he was involved, wrote a book, did a bunch of interviews. We listened to an interview the other day. So all of these things, because his ego wouldn't allow him to keep his mouth shut, and because he felt, well, 10 years later, I could probably talk about it now. All of this shit is now going to hang him and put him in jail for the rest of his life. It's an open and shut case, but the man's own words. Keith D on trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur. That's going on right now. Here's a story that I am avoiding, but it is got a lot of people talking. And we're just going to tell you the details and move on. It's this Lindsay Clancy murder trial. Oh, man, this has got the whole Nancy Grace scene. All this is like, you know, those people, the people who would watch Nat, they love this trial. This is a woman. It's a wealthy woman from a wealthy suburb outside Boston. She murdered her 3 kids. She then tried to kill herself. She slit her throat. She strangled her children. She strangled her 3 children. She then slashed her wrist, slashed her throat, and then threw herself out of her 3rd-story house. Threw herself out the window. She survived, and now she's on trial. Postpartum depression and bipolar and misdiagnosis. That's all the defense. The defense is all of that stuff. In Massachusetts courtroom, the mother and sister of Lindsay Clancy, the mother accused of killing her children, took the stand to testify about her rapidly declining mental state and struggles with postpartum medication leading up to the tragedy. So that what they're saying is, you know, the medication that she was prescribed for her postpartum stuff made things worse. And I hate this story. Hate that story. Gotta sneeze. Didn't cover my mouth because there's nobody else here. That's gonna chain. There's gonna be a chain reaction of sneezes. I sneeze all the time. All right, there's gonna be another one, so I got to prepare for it. So we got the Meta social media trial. We got the Tupac Shakur murder trial. We got the Lindsay Clancy murder trial, and the Luigi Mangione trial that was all set to start on September the 7th. The state of New York versus Luigi Mangione has been postponed. Yeah. Just as we all expected, or at least we all expected after we heard experts tell us what to expect. That's my case. He made a deal with the feds last week. There was a big story. Luigi Mangione is facing 2 different sets of charges. He's facing murder charges in the state of New York, and he's facing federal charges at the federal level. He pled not guilty to both and then changed his federal plea to guilty. Now, him changing his plea to guilty in the federal court triggers double jeopardy laws in the state of New York. The state of New York is very unique in that they have some very specific things that other states do not have when it comes to double jeopardy and the ability to try somebody. So the attorneys for Luigi Mangione understood that if they pled guilty, no contest, we did it in federal court, that would constitute a trial, which would mean that they can't be tried again in New York. And so New York would have to drop their charges. That's what we all thought. That was Luigi's lawyers doing legal wrangling. We were absolutely right, because that is what's happening now in the state of New York. The Luigi Mangione trial has been postponed. The state murder trial of Luigi Mangione is effectively postponed indefinitely following his federal guilty plea, altering the timeline of his highly publicized case. All right. So that's everything that everybody expected. Let's see here. How about some random national security and foreign policy news? Oh, jeez. This is the stuff that we blew through the peace deadline. Do you remember the peace memo? Remember when Trump said, we got a peace deal? And they said, is it a peace deal? And he's like, well, it's a memo. And then people were like, well, what the fuck is a peace memo? Remember that? Trump just came out and wanted a victory dance. So he got something that like means nothing, but then acted like it was the end of the war and we won. Remember when he did that? Yeah. Well, we blew through the 60-day deadline on that peace memo. So any thought that maybe that was a real thing, it is now officially not. That peace memo had a 60-day deadline to further talks, and we blew through that yesterday. So, yeah, that was all, dare I say, foreshadowing a conversation we'll have later. Was that disinformation? I don't know. President of the United States would never engage in disinformation. No. Let's see here. Childhood vaccine exemptions have hit a record high. Oh, these diseased little spreaders out there now. Cool. It's not like sending your kid to school in 1890. Cool. A newly released report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention revealed that school child vaccine exemptions for personal and religious reasons have hit historic record highs as national vaccination rates continue to slide. Cool. I wonder what the next big disease that's going to pop up out of nowhere. We're going to have a new one because all of this shit is going to cause something to happen that we never saw before. I don't know. My kid's 17. He's got all of his vaxes. He's fine. I'm fine. I've had all my vaxes my whole life. I'm the most unhealthy son of a bitch you ever met. And yet at the same time, I seem to be trucking along just fine health-wise. Powered by, 18 years? Powered by 18 years of mandated vaccines. That's who I am. But you do what you want, lady who stays at home all day and watches YouTube videos. You do what you want for your kids. All right, those are our top headlines of today. Let's see. What is the first thing we're going to talk about here? Let's go. Let's get in. Oh, let's do this. Let's do the socialism poll because I think that this is the most interesting piece of news to come out today. There's a new poll out that talks about socialism. Hold on. Do we have it here? Yeah. All right. Let's get into this. All right. So socialism. A lot of people are talking about it. Hell, we've got some socialists in the chat room, or at least people who identify as democratic socialists. That's the party that we're seeing rise now in the distance in major cities and other places, the Democratic Socialists of America, which, I've still got to get my finger on because there's like the Democratic Socialists of America and then there's the American Socialist Party, and they're not the same thing, but that doesn't matter. Sean Hannity will tell you they are. I don't know what the difference is. I'm going to have to figure that out should I get a little more interested. But at the moment, I have to say, I've never in my life here, as a Gen Xer who grew up under the shroud of the Cold War, as a Gen Xer who, was taught from my earliest days that, once the bombs come, you've got 20 minutes and then you're dead. So that's kind of how we thought, very fatalistic as a generation. Anyway, anybody who was a grade school kid in the 70s or the 80s, they kind of have this in the back of their mind that we're totally prepared to be dead in 20 minutes. That's Gen X. Takes missiles 20 minutes to go from Moscow to Chicago. 20 minutes. We could be dead. So that's how we were raised. And socialism was programmed into all of us as being the height of evil. I mean, it's not true. I mean, there's plenty of other isms that are way more scary than socialism, but okay. Socialism was programmed into the capitalistic loving Democrat or democratically elected idea of America, right? Representation. Socialism was programmed into all of our heads as being the height of evil. So when I say that there is a branding problem trying to get independents to vote for anything with the word socialism in it, I'm not kidding. It's a real problem for people my age. Socialism is not a good thing. It's like the F and the C word. It's not good. So for me at my age, when I sit here now and I see all of these young people, and I had a lot of talks with my own 17-year-old North Texas son about socialism because he knows all about it. His generation grew up, post 9/11. That's a whole different bit of things that they're going to carry into adulthood that we just don't know what they are yet. He didn't grow up with the Cold War. He didn't grow up with it's either socialism or us, right? Socialism equaled death. Socialism equaled, Siberia and all these terrible things. So he doesn't have that. His generation doesn't have that. And I think that maybe we stopped talking about socialism for a long time. For about 20 years in this country, it was just, accepted that socialism was something we would never do. So an entire generation came up without the programming that a whole bunch of others did. So young people are embracing socialism today in a way that I certainly never expected. But is it just young people? We know about the young people. Here's some information. Dems. Let's talk about Democrats, because that's the people that are really sort of leaning into the whole socialism things. It says here, first of all, wait, before I do, let me give you the story. All right, here, I'll give you the story. We'll give you the numbers, okay? And then I'll tell you how it breaks down nationally, because this poll is done between Democrats and Republicans. And it doesn't really mean anything unless you know what percentage of the country identify as Democrats and what percentage identifies Republicans. So we'll get to that. But here's what we have so far. With a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party on the horizon, a new poll signals that socialists may have the upper hand over capitalists in the 2028 primaries. According to a new CBS News poll out Sunday, Democrats have a dramatically more favorable view of socialism than they do of capitalism. Dramatically, it says here, Democrats have a dramatically more favorable view of socialism than capitalism. So let me take a breath on that and think about it. I'm one of them. I am one of them. As I sit here right now, I'm not saying that I have an overwhelmingly favorable view of capitalism, but if we are putting them head to head and going which is which, I am leaning in 2026 on April the 18th on Tuesday. I'm going, socialism sounds a little bit better than capitalism. Now, I don't know what the original idea for capitalism was. I just know what we live in now, which is this American perversion of capitalism. And that is what I reject. This American perversion of capitalism. So anyway, Democrats have a dramatically more favorable view of socialism than capitalism. The poll found that among Democrats, 58% have a positive view of socialism, while just 18% have a negative view. So among Democrats, 58% positive, 18% negative. That's a pretty big number. Conversely, the poll found just 32% of Democrats have a positive opinion of capitalism. So among Democrats, people who identify as Democrats, socialism has a 58% positive view. Capitalism has a 32% popular view. 58 to 32, socialism over capitalism among people who consider themselves Democrats. Wow, that's a lot of young people. That's got to be a lot of young people. But also, I imagine some people like me who have seen what capitalism does. Some people like me who have been affected by whatever this whole thing is, where AI was allowed to come in, where, I'm confused. I can't even speak to any real great authority on this because I am so confused about it all. But I do get this. I get why 58% of Democrats have a positive view of socialism, while only 32% of Democrats have a positive view of capitalism. Nobody should have a positive view of American capitalism other than maybe Donald Trump Jr. I'm sure that he loves it. He loves the way capitalism works for him. It says here, the gap becomes even wider when narrowed down to those with a college degree. That's a fancy way of saying smart people. Don't get lost in it. They can't say stupid people versus smart people. But whenever you see a poll and they say people with college degrees, what they're saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is smart people. Smart people who went somewhere and learned things and heard from other people, right? Had a professor who had an accent, right? People who have a little bit of life experience. The gap becomes even wider when narrowed down to those with a college degree. Among that demographic, 71% of college-educated Democrats view socialism favorably. Whew. See here. These are Democrats. The poll suggests, though, that anti-capitalist sentiment is not shared by the broader electorate when you factor in Republicans. It says here among all Americans, just everybody, 35% of all Americans have a positive opinion of socialism, according to the poll. See, that's up 15% from just 5 years ago. So, it's going up. 35% of all Americans have a positive opinion of socialism. Capitalism is seen positively by only 46% of everybody in America. Of everybody polled, Republicans or Democrat, the current form of capitalism is underwater by 4 points. We don't like it. We can work with that. We can make change with this. 46% of people are the only people who are still like, no, I think the way things are going is the way it should be. A whopping here. Still, though, many Americans support the capitalist system. There is widespread disenchantment with the current capitalist economy that's overseen by President Donald Trump. A whopping 65% of Americans rate the current economy very bad. Sorry. 65% of Americans rate the current economy very bad. Worse yet, for the White House, just 5% of Americans believe the economy is very good, with 26% thinking it's all right. It's pretty good. Not good. So yeah, socialism, those are real numbers. Those are shocking numbers among Democrats. Now, again, none of this means anything until you understand, are there more Democrats or Republicans in this country? So what is the official numbers here? Official voter registration numbers in jurisdictions that record party affiliation. Registered Democrats lead the nation with 37% of the electorate. So of all the people who are registered voters in this country, more are Democrat, 37%. Than Republican, 31% of Republicans. So, I don't know. I don't know what that means. But I honestly thought there were more Republicans in this country than there were Democrats. So, all right, there you have it. Socialism coming to a neighborhood near you. Okay, another poll that I saw this weekend that I wanted to talk about here is disinformation artists. They've been ranked. Now, I was born with a pretty good bullshit detector. So, I'm pretty good at judging people and hearing things, being like, that ain't true. So disinformation for me has always been something that I've, paid attention to. I don't think that's true. But here in the age of social media, where anybody is allowed to say any old thing, and that anybody who is saying that any old thing is able to cosplay on social media as anything they want. I spent 5 years in the White House as a foreign policy expert. You can say anything you want in your bio, and if your picture has you in a suit, you're going to get 20,000 idiots retweeting you like you're an expert. Disinformation. But who are the biggest disinformation experts? Like who are the ones that can be counted on every time to say something that is just patently untrue? So, the Washington Post is where this comes. They asked AI, they did their AI polling thing where they take a consensus of all the different AIs. This is not a human opinion. This is not anybody with a lens because my granddaddy was Republican and I will always be Republican. No, it's just AI looking at facts and spitting out details. These are the top disinformation artists in America, the top liars. These are the people who lie the most in America, according to the three leading AI assets, ChatGPT, Google, and Claude. Okay, are you ready? We're going to do the top fives. The top five, number 5, ChatGPT disinformation artist in America is Breitbart. Breitbart comes in at number 5. Breitbart's a right-wing news platform that just makes shit up and then, goes viral. And I didn't know Breitbart was still around. I thought that died with Andrew Breitbart. Apparently Breitbart, ChatGPT says Breitbart is the number 5 greatest disinformation artist in America today. Breitbart. Google AI, number 5. Google says RFK Jr. Google says RFK Jr. is number 5. ChatGPT says Breitbart. Google says RFK Jr. Claude offers Sean Hannity. Number 5 for Claude, the biggest disinformation artist in America, is Sean Hannity. Number 4 for ChatGPT. This is the first time we're seeing a name mentioned for the second time. Number 4, ChatGPT says that Robert F. Kennedy is the greatest disinformation artist, the number 4 greatest disinformation artist. Remember, ChatGPT said Breitbart at 5 and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at number 4. Google had RFK Jr. at 5. Who do they have it for? Fox News. Google says Fox News is the number 4 perpetrator of disinformation in America, and they're a news station. How about Claude? Claude had Sean Hannity as the number 5 greatest disseminator of disinformation. Number 4 for Claude is RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is now represented on all 3 disinformation charts. All right, let's go to number 3. The number 3 disseminator of disinformation, according to ChatGTP, who had Breitbart at 5 and Robert F. Kennedy at 4. Number 3 on ChatGTP is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the number 3 greatest bullshitter out there, according to ChatGPT. According to Google, who's Google's number 3? Number 5 for Google was RFK Jr., and number 4 was Fox News. Number 3 for Google, greatest disseminator of disinformation, Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. comes in number 3. Everything that guy says is bullshit. And some of you like, he could be president. Well, yeah, I guess he could. By modern standards, yeah, I guess he could. All right, so that's number 3 on Google. Google says Donald Trump Jr. is the 3rd greatest disinformation artist out there. Claude's got number 3. Claude gave us Sean Hannity at 5. It gave us RFK Jr. at 4. At number 3, Claude says Fox News. 2nd appearance for Fox News. Fox News came in at number 4 on the Google list of disinformation artists. Fox News comes in at number 3 on the Claude list. All right, now let's go to number 2. Here we go. These are the big ones. Number 2 on the ChatGTP list of disinformation artists, the 2nd biggest disseminator of disinformation, according to ChatGTP, is Fox News. Fox News! Fox News! Fox News is number 2 on ChatGTP. It is number 4 on Google, and it is number 3 on Claude. Still watching Fox News, are you? Yeah, they're telling you what you want to hear. You're not getting any actual information, but you are getting shit to say to your liberal niece. Yeah, they'll tell you what to say when you're arguing with your liberal niece. That's Fox News's purpose now. Winning Thanksgiving battles. That's what they do. All right. Number 2 on ChatGPT, Fox News is the number 2 greatest disseminator of disinformation. Number 2 on Google. Google had RFK Jr. at 5, Fox News at 4, Donald Trump Jr. at 3, and number 2 on Google, Elon Musk. Let's go over to Claude. Claude has their 5 as well. We've already covered. Claude had Sean Hannity listed at the 5th greatest disseminator of disinformation. They had RFK Jr. coming in at 4th, Fox News coming in at 3rd, and at number 2 on Claude, just like Google, Elon, just like Fox News, has now appeared on every one of these lists. Elon comes in at number 3, biggest liar on ChatGPT. Elon comes in at number 2, biggest liar on Google, and Elon comes in on Claude at number 2 as the biggest liar. Fox News represented everywhere, and Elon Musk represented everywhere. All right, here we go. Number 1, is there a consensus? Well, let's see. According to ChatGTP, Google, and Claude, the number one disinformation artist in America today is the President of the United States. All three. They agreed on almost nothing other than Google and Claude both agreed that Elon was second worst. They've agreed on almost nothing except that the President of the United States is the biggest liar in the country. There you have it. ChatGTP. How fun. All right. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, the reason I did 5 was to build up so that we could say that all 3 number ones say the President of the United States. God, he's just such a piece of shit, man. I just don't understand why people are still like, no, he's my guy. I'm dug in. Give it up. Do you hear the fucking soldiers call them like they're sailors pussies, basically? He's like, oh, they're pussies. This fucking guy. Going against, like, now all of a sudden, oh, I like Kim Jong-un. Did you see that? Kim Jong-un's a good guy. No, he's not, dude. No, he's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. Everybody else couldn't get along with him. Yeah, why do you think that is? Because he's a bad fucking guy. If you had a serial killer that lived in your cul-de-sac and all your other neighbors were like, we stay away from that guy, he's clearly broken, and you're like, oh, I'm the only one who's friends with the serial killer, that's not a good thing, fucktwat. That's not a good thing. He does this all the time. He does like the worst. He does the thing that nobody else would do because nobody else was willing to do the really terrible thing. And then he does it and he acts like he's the only one brave enough to do it when the reality is you're the only one stupid enough to do it. Or the only one narcissistic enough to use it to your advantage. War in Iran. I'm the only one who ever did. Yeah, why? Why do you think no other presidents did any of that shit, dude? God, this guy's the worst. Can we put him in jail already? Well, the midterms are coming. Midterms are coming. All right. That's the disinformation artists according to multiple AI sites. Thank you. Once again, the Washington Post. All right. Now let's talk about let's get into this. This one sucks. This one, you know, I got to tell you, when I saw the news break that the lovely, the talented Hayden Panettiere had passed away, I was both shocked and not shocked. When I heard that Hayden Panettiere had died, I don't know, Panettiere, I don't know how she says it. When I heard that she died, I was both shocked and then not shocked. She started trending. Was it Sunday night? I think it was Sunday night. Yeah. And I was on, Twitter, as one does. And I saw her name trending. I looked over, I saw Hayden Panettiere. You want to know what my first thought was? Oh, she finally overdosed. Oh, she finally died. I don't know if I'm terrible for thinking. I'm not terrible. I felt a little bad when I clicked on it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, she's dead. Be like Lindsay Lohan just suddenly trending again, right? You're like Lindsay Lohan. And that is not to compare Hayden Panettiere to Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan had a much more high-profile, crazy life. Hayden Panettiere had a crazy life too. It just wasn't maybe as high-profile as Lindsay Lohan. And I think Hayden Panettiere is bigger than Lindsay Lohan. I mean, Lindsay Lohan is a big name because of what a screw-up she was. And yeah, she starred in Mean Girls. That's one movie. But Hayden Panettiere was on 2 hit series for like a number of years. Nashville was a massive hit. And the Heroes show that she was on where she first broke through, that was a national phenomenon. Now, that show didn't run for 10 seasons, but for 3 seasons, it was number 1 in the ratings. It made Tim Kring a power broker in television. So she has had 2 very high television profile successes for her entire adult life. She's 36 years old. So she became the cheerleader at 20, right? Claire Bennett. If you remember the old Pugs and Kelly show, you know how much we loved that show, and you know how much I loved the cheerleader. She was the best character on that show. She played a young girl, a young Texas high school cheerleader who discovered that she had the ability to fix herself. She was unbreakable, if you will. She could fall out of an airplane at 30,000 feet, hit the ground, and then stand up and walk away. So that was her character on Heroes. She was cool. Claire Bennett. Then she went on to Nashville, right? Heroes goes off. She goes on to Nashville. That's another massive hit for ABC, 2 networks. She was a model for, like, she was in commercials, TV commercials all over there. I remember there was a giant billboard of her in downtown Dallas for like Neutrogena or whatever. And I lived in downtown, and I used to pass by this billboard, this giant side of a building that was painted with her face. And I used to think, my God, is she beautiful? So she was found dead in an apartment in Greenville, South Carolina, 36 years old. She hadn't really done anything, right? I mean, now a lot of her not doing stuff since Nashville has to do with some of her problems that she had. She was married to Vitaly Klitschko, right? The Klitschko brothers, the boxers, the 2 brothers who refused to fight each other, so they both just became champions of the world at different times, refusing to fight each other. Wait, was she married to Vladimir Klitschko or Vitaly Klitschko? She's married to the guy who isn't the mayor of Kiev. All right. So one of the brothers is the mayor of Kiev in the Ukraine, and the other one is just one of the greatest boxers of all time. The other one, by the way, is the mayor of Ukraine and one of the greatest boxers of all time as well. But so she was married to him. They had a very high profile disintegration of their union. They had a child, a 12-year-old little girl. Interesting about what was going on in Hayden Panettiere's life is that when the child was very young, she gave up all custody of the child to is it Vitaly Klitschko? Whatever, one of the Klitschkos. She gave her child to the Klitschkos, the biological father, and that child's been raised in war-torn Ukraine her whole life. So imagine that poor little girl. Mom's dead. But also, it's interesting whenever something like that happens, where someone, Hayden Panettiere gives up her child, the mother gives up her child. That suggests to me that there's a whole bunch of other things going on, and that's pretty much what was happening. She was an addict. Although she was a good addict, as far as, no addicts are good. But if you are an addict and you can maintain appearances, because she never looked like, Amanda Bynes has another very well-established history of mental issues coupled with addiction. And she has very publicly been seen in public, not looking at all like Amanda Bynes. That was never Hayden Panettiere's problem. Hayden Panettiere, every time she showed up somewhere, she looked like $1 million, while still apparently maintaining a debilitating opioid habit, which is what it looks like it was. Heroin. She liked heroin. Let's look at some more pictures here. She kind of had, during the height of her fame, I remember thinking, oh, they're kind of trying to treat her like Shannon Doherty. I don't know if that means anything to you, but when Shannon Doherty became famous, it was like everybody in Hollywood decided that they were just going to talk about what a bitch she was, and we don't like her. And maybe Shannon Doherty was a bit of a handful, but whatever. I mean, she's dead too, by the way. People just decided that it was okay to dislike Shannon Doherty. And I feel like the same thing was kind of pushed on Hayden. Like, it was like, oh, she's, we don't like her. I don't know. I always liked her. Thought she was a terrific little actress. That smile. She's just such a wonderful smile. I mean, look at her. For somebody who's a junkie. What's this? This is from Heroes. It looks like it's from Heroes. There she is. A couple of months ago, she put out a book. She wrote her memoir a couple of months back, and she did a little publicity tour where she went around talking about it, and she talked famously about the situation. We played it on the show. I don't have the audio handy, but we played it on the show where she sat down, probably this podcast that we're looking at here. She sat down for an interview, and she talked about when she was a 19-year-old young woman in Hollywood. She was taken to a boat party on a yacht, and she was led downstairs into a cabin there at the yacht, led downstairs by a woman that she trusted, a woman that was sort of hired by the production company to make sure that she at 19 didn't get into any trouble. So this older woman leads Hayden Panettiere downstairs into the cabin of this luxury yacht during this yacht party. And in bed, nude, laying splayed, waiting for her is, as Hayden Panettiere described, an extremely famous A-list older male actor. So Hayden Panettiere told that story about how she was led down into a cabin. I don't know who it is. I'm like, who could that be? Bobby De Niro? Was Bobby De Niro laying in bed waiting for? I don't know. I need to know who it is, but we'll probably never know because she didn't name the name. But she did recently go on a book tour where she was promoting her memoir and talking about all the things that she sort of experienced as a young actress in Hollywood. I don't know what's going on there. She's still cute as hell, though. Pregnant. Look at her. Glowing. Hope she went off the junk for the pregnancy. All right. There she is. She's wonderful. I mean, I just always kind of liked her. I just always kind of was like, she seems cool. People were mean to her. I really liked Claire. I really liked the cheerleader from Heroes. All right, so let's get into what happened. She was found dead in an Airbnb apartment in Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville, North Carolina. I don't know. Let's take a look at this. It's the Johnson Mills Lofts because couple of questions that I got here. What the hell was she doing in she's Hayden Panettiere. What is she doing in Greenville, South Carolina? These things happen. They're weird. I had this experience once when I was a kid. I was at the local Jewel food store here in the Chicago area. We have a local Jewel. I was at the Jewel food store in Orland Park at 159th and 94th Avenue. Just a stupid, normal suburb of Chicago Jewel food store. And we're walking around the Jewel food store, and I'm in the, this is probably 1992 or something, and we're in the produce section, and I look up at this guy in the produce section, and I think to myself, I have never in my life seen another human being who looks more like the actor Robbie Benson than this guy here at the Jewel. It was Robbie Benson. I don't know why Robbie Benson was shopping at a Jewel food store in Orland Park at like 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. But yeah, it was. It was Robbie Benson from Ice Castles and One-on-One. You know, he was famous in the 70s. I think after I saw him at the Jewel, he would rekindle some of his fame as the voice of Beast in the Beauty and the Beast animated feature that made him a star again. But my point is this. Hayden Panettiere was in North Carolina. I bet she was in Greenville, North Carolina. She might have walked into a 7-Eleven and somebody in the 7-Eleven went, that girl looks exactly like Hayden Panettiere, but it can't possibly be her because we're in South Carolina and this is not. So what was she doing in Greenville, South Carolina? This is where she was. I immediately thought, was she in like a shitty apartment? I mean, how bad is this going to be? Was she found in some like ghetto crack apartment? No, she was actually found in some very nice apartments. Here, let's check them out. The Judson Mill Lofts here in Greenville. It looks like one of these planned, reclaimed communities. It looks like maybe this was a factory or something. Here, we'll get a little bit. Looks like maybe it was a factory and it's been turned into what are described on the website as luxury loft apartment homes. You can see it's, you know, it's got companies and it's got bars and, you know, restaurants and stuff in here. So it's not a shitty place to live, probably a very nice place to live, an aspirational place to live if you were a young yuppie there in Greenville. might be the place you'd want to live, but it still doesn't answer why is she there? Was she filming something? No. And was it her apartment? Like, did she live there, or was just crashing there? Well, she was just crashing there. In fact, everybody involved was just crashing there because this was an Airbnb. Hayden Panettiere was staying at an Airbnb in South Carolina. Now, the name that the Airbnb was rented under is Brian Hickerson. Brian Hickerson is her on again, off again, on again, off again boyfriend. And I have no idea. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? If Brian Hickerson can get Hayden Panettiere, I feel like I have a shot. I feel like I got a shot. I feel like every single one of you should feel like you have a shot. Unless the deal breaker is that I'm not a heroin addict. Because maybe that's what the two had in common. That's why the 10 on a 10 scale of beautiful women, Hayden Panettiere, ended up with this clown show. But the story gets more interesting. This Judson Mill loft apartment that was Airbnb'd to Brian Hickerson. Do you know who he Airbnb'd this place from? You know who the on-again, off-again boyfriend of Hayden Panettiere leased or rented or Airbnb'd this particular apartment from? Page 6. Page 6 of the New York Post is the official name on this apartment rental, this Airbnb. It is run by Page 6. For what reason? I have no idea. Although, let's expand on that. Brian Hickerson, the on-again, off-again, heroin-addicted boyfriend of Hayden Panettiere, just happens to be leasing an apartment that is owned or facilitated by, I don't know, Page 6 of the New York Post. Clearly, Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend was dealing with the media, giving them stories, probably in exchange for junk. Isn't that shocking? Page 6 rented this to Brian Hickerson? All right, so who is this Brian Hickerson guy? Let's take a look at him, right? He gave an interview. Not recently. This is an interview before the terrible shit happened. This is TMZ. I guess they had broken up. I guess that was a story that Hayden Panettiere and Brian Hickerson had broken up. And so TMZ wanted to talk to him about their relationship. This guy, folks, this is the guy who OD'd, apparently on heroin. I don't know. They found Narcan in the apartment. Narcan is the shit that every junkie has in case somebody that they're doing junk with ODs. We saw it in Pulp Fiction. You slam it into the chest. All right. So when the cops and the paramedics showed up to find Hayden Panettiere's body, they found Narcan on the bed. They found a spent cartridge of Narcan. So obviously she OD'd, and Brian or whomever, I don't even know if it's Brian yet, the names haven't been named, but whoever was there with her tried to administer the life-saving Narcan. So we know it's probably opioid addicted, related. All right, so here's TMZ talking to Brian after they broke up. This guy, this is how he goes on TMZ, okay? This is Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend. This is whose apartment she was in, although leased by Page 6. This is the apartment that she was in when she overdosed. This is the guy that she loved, on and off again. Check this guy out. This is how he shows up to a TMZ interview. All right, I'm not burying the lead here. He is so high. He is so doped out on smack. It's like he fucking shot up just before the interview. This is the world that Hayden Panettiere was living in.
Hayden first started dating in 2018, and it's been a very public relationship. Is there anything you want people to know about you and Hayden's relationship?
Hayden Panettiere is the sweetest thing in the world. It's not about who you spend Saturday night with. It's who you spend all day Sunday with. And Hayden Panettiere is a Sunday girl.
I mean, it's that got Claire Bennett, the cheerleader. Junkie Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right. A guy who can't even get clean for a 5-minute TMZ interview to give his best presentation of himself possible. No.
Do you think it's better for her to not be with you?
I think that Hayden is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, and I would be an idiot not to walk away from her and let her flourish in her career.
All right, how sad is that? How sad is that? Because he's obviously completely messed up on heroin right now. He's talking to TMZ and he says, I need to walk away from her because her being with me is going to end up in her death. That's basically what he's saying. And that is exactly what happened on Sunday. She wasn't supposed to be with him anymore, but she was with him. She apparently went back with him and they did some heroin together and now she's dead. And he, months before this is months ago, this is like 3 months ago, he said exactly what was going to happen if they got back together, that he needs to walk away from her because she will die if she stays with him.
That is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And
Jesus, do you see his pupils? Holy shit. Look at these. These are saucers. That's what cops look at. Like when a cop wants to know what they're dealing with, it's the pupils. This guy's pupils.
I would be an idiot not to walk away from her and let her flourish in her career. So we probably wouldn't be good together. I'd like to see what she's gonna do with the next 30 years of her career. She's, she'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I hope the same for her. But we're just good buddies.
All right, just good buddies. They're just good buddies. I don't, heroin, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I mean, how insane. I mean, she's just like, she was like a perfect little angel. And that's what heroin did. How good is heroin, right? I mean, how unbelievably good, how undeniably good is heroin that people just never done it. My goal is to try heroin. I used to say 70. Remember, I used to be like, soon my 70th birthday, I'm going to try heroin. I got to see what everybody says. 70's too young now. See, I've gotten older, and I'm like, 70's, can't do 70. 80. 80th birthday is when I'm going to chip up, try heroin for the first time. I'm going to go for one of them opioid rides. But not before then. Not before then. All right, so we covered the boyfriend, the on-again, off-again boyfriend. There is no official autopsy. I mean, obviously, it takes weeks to get the toxicology. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's it. They don't release it for weeks because the idea is that they're protecting the story. And if they, not the story, the case, the authorities are protecting the case. The story is what could compromise the case. So when you say, it takes 6 weeks to get the toxicology back. No, that's just to throw the media off. That's just so that, 6 weeks from now, there'll probably be something else you'll be interested in. So when they release the real interesting details, it turns out to not be a top story, but like a fifth story. In other news today, autopsy results have been released in the April death of, right? It's always like months ago, and you're like, that's how it happened, and you moved on. Doesn't take 6 weeks to get toxicology. Jesus, you can tell if I'm drunk in a DUI right there. I know it's alcohol and it's different, but no, it doesn't take that long. I've had a number of doctors go, it doesn't take that long. We could do toxicology in like 3 hours. We can just do it in 3. We can have the results in like 3 hours. We can tell you everything that was in the system, but no, they wait 6 months because, on these big high profile stories, they try to control it. The police, the authorities try to control it so that the media doesn't end up screwing their case. So that's where this whole 6 weeks for toxicology to come back comes from. It's nonsense. All right. So she was with Brian. She was obviously doing drugs, although we don't have the official toxicology. She was staying in an apartment that was Airbnb'd by Brian in Greenville, South Carolina. The apartment was leased to Brian by Page Six, which suggests that Brian was using Hayden for some sort of, payday from Page Six. Terrible. All right, there you have it. That is the death of Hayden. Hayden Panettiere. Brittany Murphy was another one. Brittany Murphy and Hayden Panettiere. I'm like, these two incredible, young, delightful women. The Brittany Murphy thing is a little bit different, though, because I think Brittany Murphy was murdered. I think that she was murdered by her husband, and I think that her mother is complicit, but whatever. All right, let's see here. We did the death of the cheerleader. Oh, you know what we need to do now, though? We do need to do some accounting because Hayden Panettiere isn't the only person who passed away. That's right. Celebrities, they die in threes, don't they? They sure as heck do. Celebrities die in threes, so we like to put them together. We've all heard this, right? Oh, celebrities, they die in threes. Well, it is true, and I've been tracking it for years and years, going back to the 1990s. Now, every year, I just write down, I got a little file. I just write down the name of the celebrity and when they died. And then within 10 days, guaranteed, 2 more celebrities will die. That's the dying in threes. It's after the first one dies, start the clock. You have 10 days to get 2 more. Now, why do they die in threes? This is the question. Pugs, why do celebrities die? Okay, we'll admit, we'll sign off on your contention here. Celebrities die in threes. Pugs, why? Why do they die in threes? Well, I'll tell you. Because up in heaven, there's a different place. It's called celebrity heaven. Yeah, again, I always try to tell you folks, your grandpa's not playing, guitar with Elvis Presley. Elvis barely played guitar anyway, but your grandpa's not strumming with Elvis. He's not. Celebrities don't hang out with the peasants, even in heaven. It's a gated community where the celebrities live, and they all live together because they all have celebrity experiences, and they don't want to be dealing with, Bob the plumber, right? Who's going to ask them about when you were making the second Star Wars movie, right? That's not what dead celebrities want to deal with. So the dead celebrities, they all live in a nice little gated community. It's on a golf course there. It's a bunch of townhomes. It's a bunch of 3-bedroom townhomes. So when celebrities die, they die in threes, and they all move into a new townhome. That's how it works. All right, so let me get you the latest in the celebrity death trilogy. Aren't you wondering, who does Hayden Panettiere spend eternity with? Does Hayden Panettiere end a death trilogy? Is she the third person in, or does she begin a new one? Or I suppose the other option is she the second? Well, let's find out. All right, so when we left off here on the celebrity death trilogies, I believe we left out on number 26. Was it the 26th trio of celebrities who died within a 10-day period in 2026? I believe it was. Hold on, let me pull it up. Where is it? 21, there's 22. Okay, Death Trilogy 23, Death Trilogy 24, Death Trilogy 25. And yes, okay, so Death Trilogy 26. I think that's where 27. 27? Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. All right, Hayden Panettiere ends a death trilogy. She closes out a 3-celebrity death trilogy. I'll tell you who she's with. But first, let's get caught up. The 28th death trilogy of the year. We talked about this man, but we didn't exactly put him in a 3-bedroom condo there in heaven. Don Nelson, of course, the great Donnie Nelson. Don Nelson, 86-year-old American basketball player, of course, icon there in North Texas, icon there in the Bay Area, icon all over the place. The great Don Nelson, he was the first one in the 28th death trilogy. Who does Don Nelson spend the rest of all eternity with? Well, he's going to be living. Don Nelson died on 8/9, also dead on 8/9. Ben Jones. Ben Jones. Don Nelson's 86. Ben Jones is 84. Oh my God. These two guys, they're going to at least have some life experience, some things that they can relate to each other. Who was Ben Jones? Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard. It's Cooter. Remember Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard? That's who Ben Jones is. He died on the 9th day of August. He joins Don Nelson. Nelly. He joins Nelly there. Who joins them? Who's the third? Did we close out the 28th Death Trilogy? Who's joining basketball coach Don Nelson and Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard, Ben Jones? Well, on the 13th day of August, Mark Rydell, film director. 97 years old Mark Rydell was. Made a whole bunch of movies that you've seen. Most notably, On Golden Pond, directed The Rose. Remember The Rose? Wasn't that Bette Midler? That was a big smash hit. And The River. He's done a whole bunch of films, but those are what he was nominated for. Film director Mark Rydell, 97 years old. He died on the 13th day of August. He joins Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard and Donnie Nelson. That is the 28th Death Trilogy of 2026. All right, now let's move on to the 29th, okay? All right, here's where we are. This is where Hayden fits in. And Hayden doesn't start it, and Hayden's not in the middle. Hayden ends it. Hayden closes out this Death Trilogy, the 29th of the year 2026, okay? On the 14th day of August, we lost Dave Marsh. Dave Marsh, 76 years old, American music critic. He's written books. He had the Sirius XM show. Dave Marsh, if you ever watched any of those VH1, I love the 80s or whatever, Dave Marsh is one of those guys that's always there as pop culture expert. Great writer, great music writer, iconic music critic. Dave Marsh basically gave up his entire career as an independent journalist, as a music critic, when he saw Bruce Springsteen for the first time. He saw Springsteen in like some bar in New Jersey in 1972, went back to Rolling Stone and said, I quit. I'm going to do nothing but write and promote this guy. Well, he would go back to music. But Dave Marsh, 76, American music critic, author of the Rolling Stone album guide, editor of Cream, talk show host in New York, talk show host syndicated on radio, talk show host Sirius XM. Dave Marsh, music aficionado, 76 years old. He died on the 14th day of August. He starts the 29th Death Trilogy of the year. On the 15th day of August, now here's a guy that I know because I'm an old head, I'm an unk. I know him because he also played for my team, so I like that. But he's more famous now, way more famous than he ever was as a player, because he was a damn good player. He was a hell of a baseball pitcher for the Yankees. I mean, dominant World Series type stuff, right? But then he had arm surgery, and his arm surgery was very successful. And the arm surgery that was performed on him became the basis for revolutionary arm surgeries that would extend the career of countless numbers of American and international baseball pitchers. Tommy John. Tommy John died at 83 years old. He died on the 15th day of August. He joins Dave Marsh, music critic, in the 29th Celebrity Condo of the year 2026. Hayden joins them. So think about that. Hayden Panettiere, she closes this one out. Dave Marsh died on the 14th day of August. Tommy John died on the 15th day of August. Hayden Panettiere died on the 16th day of August. That's 14, 15, 16, 3 consecutive days. You got a 76-year-old, an 83-year-old, and a 36-year-old. Here's what I love about this. Here's what I love about this matchup. Hayden Panettiere isn't going to be, she's not in there with like some 45-year-old club DJ, right? She's in there with Dave Marsh, who's a nerdy music guy who's just going to sit and listen to albums all the time, and Tommy John, an 83-year-old baseball guy. Hayden Panettiere needs this. I think that she's got two solid male role models to spend eternity with who aren't going to try and fuck her at every turn. Right? I'm pretty sure she's safe with Dave Marsh, 76 years old, and Tommy John, 83. And let's be honest, Hayden is, she's perfect for this. She could probably cook for these old men. She's got like 2 grandpas now. 2 grandpas for eternity. I like this. That's the 29th Death Trilogy Townhouse of the year 2026. Dave Marsh, 76-year-old music critic. Tommy John, 83-year-old baseball legend. And Hayden Panettiere. Just an angel. Toxic angel. That's what we'll call her. All right, guys. Chat room. See, I haven't spent much time in the chat room today. Let me see who else is here. Oh, back on the socialism thing. This is a pretty good way of looking at it. I like Billy Folk saying the moment the government serves the people, the rich cry socialism. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Whenever something directly benefits us, it's got to be so anti-American. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Bill follows that up by saying, when corporate elites have unchecked power over our government, socialism for the people doesn't sound so bad. Isn't that the truth? Look at me and Bill. And I'm not a socialist. I'm not a capitalist. And I don't believe that we need to completely eliminate the American dream or the idea that capitalism has its place in this society, because it does. Just needs to be a little bit more regulated than I think it has been these past 40 years. All right. Regulations? But then how do the job creators make money? Shut up. Job creators. You know what the job creators are? The tech guys who are making AI bots to do everybody's jobs. Those are the fucking job creators, you assholes. Talking about job creators. Well, I'm just catching up. Trying to see if there's anybody in the chat room I didn't say hi to today. Got April. We got Billy Boy. We got April again. There's Barney. Here we go. Barney wants to check in on Hayden. Barney says, I never watched Heroes at the time and just started it a couple of weeks ago. Only through season 1. Barney, it's great. It's terrific. You know, that's interesting. You know, Barney, I might want to, maybe I'm going to start watching. I noticed that I think it's Netflix is now pushing Heroes, probably because they're ghouls and Hayden died. But, you know, I saw it and I went, oh, I might want to rewatch Heroes. And I'll tell you why, because there are very few shows that I remember liking as much from jump as I liked Heroes. I also think that we pushed it heavy on the old Pugs and Kelly show when Heroes was on. We pushed it heavy because it was one of the rare shows that Kelly and I both liked. Normally it's like we didn't love the same shows, but Heroes we both liked, so maybe that was the reason. But Barney, that's a great idea. I would love to see if it holds up, because you know, when Heroes first aired on NBC, 2005, something like that, maybe earlier, I'm not even sure. But when Heroes first aired, I hadn't seen 1,000 Marvel and DC movies. I'd seen a couple of Batmans and a Spider-Man in the 90s, and, I was familiar with Superman from the 70s. But before Heroes, when Heroes first introduced itself as a network television show, 7 o'clock Mondays, NBC, when it first introduced itself, I hadn't seen all the Iron Mans and all the other, you know what I mean? My mind wasn't blown by the things you could do with the superhero genre. And the way they depicted it, I thought was really clever. I think I should try and watch it again. I think that's a good idea. I think I might want to rewatch it. Cool, Barney. Thank you. Yeah, Heroes is, by the way, being pushed by Netflix. It's you'll find it. Byron in the chat room. Byron says, I could get her now. Slip the morgue guy a 20. Oh my God. That's the Dark Lord. That's him. That's why we keep him around. Should we let Adam just say some shit that is going to keep him and his kind marginalized for his entire existence? All right, let's do that. Here's Adam. Your deeply ingrained patriarchal system always shows when you do the heaven condo thing, because you always say the woman will cook meals for the men. Isn't Adam fun? Isn't he fun? Like, isn't he the guy you want to invite to your party? Isn't that? Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you checking in. Ross is here. Hi, Ross. Ross is like, yo. Hi, Ross. Byron says, I didn't know heroin made your pupils big like meth or coke. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I assumed it was heroin because of the opioids, right? But I'm not really, I don't know that many. I don't know any junkies. If we're being honest, I don't know any junkies. I'm trying to think, do I know any junkies? Everybody right now, stop what you're doing and just think in your personal universe. Do you know any junkies? Chat room, yes or no? That's all. Just yes or no. Do you know any junkies? Do I know any junkies? I know somebody who I think is a weed addict, somebody who I think has a real problem with weed, which is weird because I had never really thought that you could have a problem with weed because it's non-addictive. But now, as more and more people are smoking weed, now I do. I know a number of people who I'm like, yeah, you need to stop. You need to. My rule, I always talk about my rule about smoking weed, never when it's daylight. Why would you get high when it's daylight? Something, you might have to do something, and now you're going to get high. Getting high is for when it's dark and there's something you want to watch and you're on the couch and you got snacks and you're not doing anything for the next 3 hours. That's it. You got to make it a treat. Make it a treat. I got friends who wake up and get high like first thing. Wake and bake, bro. I'm like, no, not wake and bake. But when it comes to heroin or opioids, and I know that's a big problem in this country, I don't know anybody. I don't think I know. I'm trying to think. I don't know anybody who's a junkie. I did a bunch of years ago. I did, but surprise, surprise, they're dead now. They're dead now. Okay. Reform ones. Ross says he knows some reform junkies. Maddie says no current junkies. Current junkies, no. People who have gotten clean, yes. Okay, that counts. Yeah, that because you're a junkie. If you're a clean junkie, that's fine. You don't. That's the whole thing with taking ownership of whatever your addiction is. You're always that. So yeah. So there are some sober junkies out there. Like I said, the only one that I knew is dead. So they never got sober. But all right. So Maddie knows junkies. Ross knows junkies. Barney says just potheads. All right, here's more from Adam. Sorry, I don't mean to get all wild on you. Here's Adam. Oh, also, you're not understanding how heaven works. Adam, I know that's a joke. I know that you started out going, oh, no, this is how heaven works. And then somewhere in the middle of it, you realize that heaven is a concept and that you arguing that this is how it works over the way I perceive it to work is absurd. But thank you for checking in. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to do here today? We got a bunch more to do. I got a bunch more to do. Oh, geez. Anybody tip the show today? I don't think anybody did. I've not heard one damn tip. So I'm just, help the show out if you can. All right. Thank you very much, people. Appreciate you. The page 6 thing. I need to see more about the page 6 thing. I bet you page 6 is going to do an exclusive interview with Brian Hickerson. Why did page 6 lease through Airbnb an apartment to the junkie boyfriend of Hayden Panettiere? Why? I'm sure we'll find out more about that. Yeah, I don't want to do that. We'll do that tomorrow. I was going to do a whole flock camera thing, but we spent way too much time. It's already 2 hours and I've got stuff to do. All right, let's do our D of the day. That's right. You can make that D stand for anything that you want. D of the day. Today, MAGA boat trash. That's right. Every day we like to focus on somebody who's out there sharing oxygen with us who is just being an asshole. You're just being a D. You're being a dick, you're being a douche, you're being a dummy, whatever you want to call it, you're being a D. I used to spend a lot of time out there on Lake Louisville, so I got to know MAGA boat trash, and they can be fun. You can have fun with MAGA boat trash. But they always, There's always that, slight chance that you're going to get the emotional infant who acts like a complete moron. So here, we got a piece of video here for you. This is funny. It's just funny video. It would have made our 3 videos, but I thought to myself, you know what? This should be our douche of the day. So apparently this is a guy on a boat. He's one of these MAGA boat trash guys. And by the way, this is boat guys. Here's the thing about boat guys. To have a boat, you're doing well. You're doing well. Anybody with a boat, if you've got a boat and a slip and a dock, that means you've probably got a couple $1,000 a month that you can play with. That's what a boat costs. If you got a boat, you got money. You don't have Elon Musk money, but you do have maybe a little more money than most of the people you share a cul-de-sac with. You're doing pretty good. You're the guy whose driveway has 3 jet skis in it and a boat trailer and all that. You're doing pretty good. So there is a sense of success among people who have boats. And when you combine that with the entitlement of MAGA, oh my God, you get like MAGA boat jackasses who just think that because they make a little bit more than almost everybody else they know in their personal universe, yet not so much that you'd be like, that dude's fucking rich. No, just richer than most of the rest of us. You become an asshole because in your personal universe, you're the rich guy. And they behave like this. This is funny simply because it shines a spotlight on how so many of us, not just MAGA, I mean, this isn't an exclusively MAGA thing, but so many of us are fully grown adults who have zero ability to control our emotions. We are so immature emotionally and lack all control. You know how you're like, man, I'm about to pop off, but you don't because you can control it, because you have control. This is somebody who has no control. And it's so funny to watch because it's like, ha ha, you're like a 5-year-old. Ha ha. I mean, that's essentially what this is. So this MAGA dude on his MAGA boat is reacting to another boat that is parked near him that is playing like anti-Trump music. This is how MAGA reacts. He's mentally ill. This is a mental illness right now. This man needs to be physically controlled from doing something that in a right mind he would never do because he understands you can't just attack people, but he has lost his ability to control himself emotionally. This is an example of the rank emotional immaturity that we have among men in America. No man has been raised to be in touch with his, feelings. And why? Is that a pussy thing to be in touch with your feelings? No, it's a thing that stops you from being fucking arrested because you are in control of your feelings. This guy has no control of his feelings. This is how guys end up hitting their wives. This is how guys end up, swinging at a cop in a bar parking lot. Zero emotional control. This is an infant. Snapping. I'm going to snap. I'm going to go up. Yes, that is a complete loss of your otherwise rational emotions. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go off. No, you're not. Not if you are a mature, well-formed human being. If you are a mature, well-formed human being, you won't go off. You can control yourself, but not these miscreants. They can't control themselves because it's all about them. Look at him. He's just filled with rage because another boat is playing a song that makes fun of the president. Oh my God. Tell me again about this TDS that we all have simply because we're looking at a criminal con man and going, that's a criminal con man. But I have TDS. Not this guy. This guy's perfectly fine. How embarrassing. At what point is it going to be untenable to walk through society with your red MAGA. You don't see them anymore. You don't see the red MAGA hats anymore. Go to a mall. Well, who goes to a mall? Go anywhere where there are people. You don't see them like you did, say, 5 years ago. People are not wearing the red Make America Great Again hat anymore. We tried that, and it didn't work. It made America worse. Good job, people. Good job. All right, there you have it. That's today's Dick of the Day, MAGA boat trash. All right, let's see here. What else do we want to do? Let's do our video segment. That's right. 1, 2, 3 videos. These are 3 cool viral videos that I've found going. By the way, you know what? Today I've got like 10. We're not going to do 10. We're only going to do 3. But because I have like 10, I'm like, I should just do this as its own segment. I should just every day break down 3 videos as its own segment. Go watch it on YouTube. Whatever. Anyway. 3 videos. These are 3 viral pieces of video. That's why it's called 3 videos. And they caught my attention, and I thought they'd be fun to talk about here. This one is just cool. This is just a cool video. I like this one. Again, if you're Gen X, you might appreciate this. This is kind of fun. This is everybody's got to start somewhere, right? Now, I used to manage bands. I used to manage bands back in the day. And it always seems like nothing is ever going to work out, right? It always seems like when you're starting out, when you're playing a bar and there's like 10 people there, you could walk in, you could see the band and go, this band sucks. Like the idea that how do I say this? I'm trying to articulate this to match the way I feel about it. Sometimes you see greatness and you just don't recognize it. How's that? Sometimes you see absolute greatness and there's only 5 people in the crowd and they're like, this band sucks. It's like, there's nobody here, so this band sucks because I don't have my own opinion of the band. I'm just saying everybody starts somewhere. How about this? Anybody interested in seeing what Nirvana looked like playing at a Radio Shack back in the late 80s? Here you go, Nirvana playing an early Radio Shack gig. All right, I'm sorry. But if I had walked into that Radio Shack in 1989 and saw this band, I'd have been like, that band sucks. That was me at like 23. Today, at my age, I'd walk in, I'd sit down and I'd go, what's going on here? You get older and you start to get a little bit more open to things. That's not even Dave Grohl. This is before Grohl was their drummer. That's that other guy that was their drummer. I don't know what that is, but I like it. Everybody starts somewhere. Nirvana playing a Radio Shack. Okay, let's see. What else do we need here? Like I said, I got so many videos. I got to pill the ones that I want. Okay, we'll do this one. Here we go. Last couple of weeks, I've been telling you about river people. You know how I love my river people. I just have this belief that people who are raised in river communities, especially, and I use this, the people who live all along the Mississippi River, my fellow citizens here of Illinois, and on the other side, be it Iowa or Missouri, the river people, I love them. It's just cool. There is a mindset to living in a river town that's, different than everywhere else. A river town is perfectly comfortable with the transient nature of their existence because people float down the river on boats. They come into your town, they stick around for a little while, they leave, they get back on a boat. River people have to develop an open-mindedness mixed with a staunch defense of their hometown. They're cool people. I like river people. Here's the kind of thing that river people do. Check this out. This is fun. This is what you do on a river. This is actually really incredible. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's a river person, but I have played in rivers. I have done things like this over lakes. Maybe you have as well, where you've swung on lines and tubes or tires or whatever. Check this out. This is a river kid. This is somewhere in Illinois. It said this is the Mississippi. I don't know. I think this looks maybe more up towards Wisconsin of the Mississippi, but whatever. Here you go. Check this out. And then yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, fuck. What the fuck? All right, yeah, you're damn right. We got to see that again. That kid swung from a ridiculously high and ridiculously far away. He swung, flipped, stuck the landing, didn't get wet, landed in the boat, didn't crush the guy that was in the boat. There was another guy in the boat. Each amazing. One more time. River people, man, they're the best. Yeah. Oh, his flip-flops. He lost his flip-flops, though. I don't know why he was swinging with the flip-flops. We were right here. What's going on right here between these two? It's like, I understand it's like the moment, but they're like looking at each other and they're both in that instant going, oh my God! What the fuck? And then one more time. Look at this. First of all, awesome, awesome. There you go. What the fuck indeed. Very cool, kid. Although, you know, you do it 10 times. You do that 10 times. I promise you there are 7 visits to the emergency room. Whether, you know, the kid in the boat took a knee to the teeth and now he's got no teeth. Whatever. That was very dangerous, but 3 videos. There you go. River people. You know, I love my river people. River people are the best. All right, what else do we have here? Let's do this one. Nah, that one's not. Here you go. All right, this one. All right, I'll do this one simply because there is some debate as to whether or not this is real or not. I personally have a difficult time believing that this is real. AI, maybe it's AI. People are saying it's not AI. Other people are going, no, it has to be AI. I don't know. You tell me. But apparently there's a new phone out that is waterproof. And this is here. Can you see it? All right. Some people are on a boat. This is apparently a phone is recording and it gets dropped in the water and it, well, I don't know if this is a commercial for, again, I don't know what this is. I think that in a couple weeks, we might see this in an ad campaign. I think this might be an early ad for a new phone that's coming out or something, because this is how they, you know, stoke interest. They release it as a viral video and then it's like, oh, it's part of a commercial. I don't know. But whatever this is, there are people in the chat room or in the comments who are claiming that this is absolutely real, that this is a real phone and that you can buy it. Now, I don't know anything more than that. I just want to look at it. All right. So here you go. So he set the camera up. Camera falls immediately. All right, so the phone is now falling. You can, like, the phone is falling into the water and it is sinking to the bottom of wherever it is. Is that the boat? Yeah, you can see the boat up there. It's kind of wild. All right, seems to have hit the ground. Oh, geez. Look at this. Oh, geez. Now we got fish. We got fish. All right. So it is fallen with the camera apparently aimed towards the surface. Look at these fish. This is pretty cool. Even if this is AI, it's cool. I don't know. All right. It's not over yet. Somebody's got to come get that phone, right? At some point, aren't they going to be like, hey, go get the phone. Here we go. All right, here comes somebody looking for the phone. Probably took him some time to get the snorkel and the glasses. All right. Does he think he sees it? All right, here we go. And how about that? All right. I thought that was a cool video. Phoning it in? I don't know, maybe. I thought that was a cool video, though. 1, 2, 3 videos. There we go. All right. Now let's move on to Can't Be Fun at the Old Ballpark. I like to end each and every show here with a little bit of a tribute to our great game, the game of baseball. Like I said, this is a crazy week here in Chicago, or at least, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We got a game tomorrow. We got a game today. It's Cubs Sox weekend, the Crosstown Classic, as they call it. The South Side goes to the North Side. White Sox take on the Cubs. White Sox are in first place. Cubs are 20 games over 500, but not in first place. What? Point is this: they're both good teams. They're both, teams that have an eye towards the postseason. So it means a little something more now as the White Sox and the Cubs. The Cubs need to win every game because the Cubs are trying to make up ground against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are atop their division. Again, Cubs are 20 games over 500, and they're in second place. 20 games over 500, they're in second place. White Sox are 6 games over 500. We're in first place. The Cubs are 14 games better than the White Sox, and yet they're in second place. So they can't lose. They got to win these games, even though it's against an American League team and it doesn't really matter in division. They need the victories. We got 5 game. What do we got? We can lose a couple of these games. They don't really mean anything. We just swept the team that's in second place in our division, so we're feeling pretty good. Anyway, point is, baseball gonna baseball, and it was one crazy ass game last night. There are some videos here. I can't believe I don't have better video of this, but so this is what happens. this is what happens at Cubs Sox games. It's just gonna happen. So let's check in with the bleachers. The bleachers are, of course, a legendary. The bleachers at Wrigley Field. The bleacher bums. That's where the Cubs fans, the diehards, back when the Cubs absolutely sucked, these bleacher bums would show up in the bleachers at Wrigley, and, it was a thing. Well, guess what? The bleachers were invaded by the South Side, and things did not go well. This is during yesterday's game, Chicago Cubs and White Sox. A little... Okay. It's just guys in black White Sox t-shirts and guys in blue Cub t-shirts, and they're all just throwing hands. We got multiple fights going on. I imagine it's 2 groups of dudes. Like, it's one group of guys got beefy with another group of guys, and now we have this. The Cub fans just getting wailed on. So during the game, I told you that I was watching it on 2 screens. I had the White Sox presentation of the Cubs Sox game on CHSN, which is the Chicago Sports Network. So I was watching the White Sox game there. And then on another screen, I had Marquee, which is the Cubs app, just for the Cubs. Chicago Sports Network has the White Sox, the Bulls, the Blackhawks. We get everything there. Not Marquee. Marquee just has Cubs. Just Cubs. That's all. We're an entire channel, just Cubs. Just Cubs. So I'm watching both. And there was a point in the game when this fight that we're watching here broke out. Now, neither CHSN or Marquee showed the fight, but both broadcast crews talked about it. Both crews, like the White Sox team watching the game, and all of a sudden, John Schriffen goes, there's quite the brawl happening out there in the bleachers. And then Steve Stone was like, well, that's what's going to happen. Boy, they're really going at it. I mean, they were talking about it to the extent that I'm like, well, show it. Show it. But they won't show it. So I went over to the Marquee side to see if, at the same time the fight happening, did they say anything? They said the same thing. The Marquee, the Cubs crew was like, oh, we got a bit of a fight going on out there in the bleachers. Boy, this one looks pretty big. Hope they don't have to stop the game. Thought that was interesting. All right, and this is the fight they were describing. I mean, players players were all just watching this. The batter stepped out of the batter's box. That's when the guy said, well, I hope we don't have to suspend or, not delay the game or whatever. But the batter stepped out, and the batter was just like watching it, and then the pitcher turned around, and the pitcher's watching it, and this is going on. None of us got to see it. All of us watching at home, we didn't get to see it because the cameras wouldn't show it. But thankfully, we got this now. Went on for a while. It took them quite a time to break this up, but all right, there you have it. More fights today, I'm sure. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. All right. I do have one more because I don't want to end it. I don't want to end it on that kind of shit, right? That's not the fun of the old ballpark. This whole thing started because I believe people needed a refresher course on how to behave at a Major League Baseball stadium. It came from, the people who steal balls from kids and stuff. And the other day there was a video that was circulating of a Cub fan at Wrigley Field who basically ragdolled a girl. Not a young girl, but like a teen girl, a woman, whatever. It was a girl, and a foul ball gets hit, and this Cub fan runs over, and he tries to get it, but he can't get it. And then this girl comes in, and the girl gets the ball, and he just grabs the girl and ragdolls her like 2 rows. I didn't show that one. I don't need to. People don't know how to behave. Here's how it's done. All right, here you go. This is how it's done. This is how you handle a foul ball, a home run ball, any ball that isn't clearly a collector's item, right? These rules do not apply when it's the 500th home run of some guy's Hall of Fame career. No, you get that one, you're going to hold on to it. I get it. But just rando foul balls or just rando home runs, please stop it. Here's how it's done. This comes to us from, I don't know, where's Target Field? Twins. This is the Twins and the Phillies. That's right. Oh, this wasn't the Field of Dreams game, but it's a part of the series. That last week the Phillies played the Twins in the Field of Dreams game. In the Field of Dreams, but then they had to play 2 more games because you don't just play in baseball one team once. So here we go. We're back in Minnesota. This is how it's done. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark.
Line drive down the left field line. It's hooking, and it is foul.
Okay, first of all, can we just talk about this absolutely apex baseball fan? The one-handed grab. He's got a beer in one hand. He's using it. He just reaches up. One more time. Let's watch the way this dude, this absolute stud of a man, handled this foul ball.
Line drive down the left field line. It's hooking, and it is foul.
Look at that. Now here's the move.
That's a heck of a catch by the guy with the well-designed shirt.
Very nicely designed. Oh, and he gave it to the kid.
That's how you do it.
That's a bonus for that dude. Give him some love.
Oh, this is cool.
That is so cool.
Look at
That's
that.
a Twins fan giving it to a Phillies youngster. What a catch.
That guy deserves a lot of props.
He will never forget that moment as long as he lives, Tom.
Yeah, tip of the cap to that guy right there.
That's how it's done. That's how you act as a man in society. You don't, I got a ball. I'm special. Look, Mom, I got a ball and I'm special. Right? Is that fucking what most of you emotional infants act like when you get a ball? Me, I got it. No. Nice catch. He didn't even spill his beer. Nice catch. He's like, fucking baseball. Hey, kid, here you go. Make your night. That's how you do it. That guy's a man. Far be it for me to say that about any Minnesota Twin fans, but I will certainly say that about that gentleman right there. All right, that's Can't Beat Fun at the old ballpark. One more time, I want to compel you to support this show. Honestly, whether or not this show continues to be a 5-day-a-week thing really does depend on whether or not we get supported because, yesterday I didn't even do a show, and we got a $60 tip. That meant that I absolutely had to do a show today. So thank you so much to everybody who helped support this show. This is a show that doesn't rely on any kind of advertising. Why? Well, because we probably couldn't get any, let's be honest. So it's you people who show up every day for 5 years now at noon. We gather together. You people, you like this thing. You want to keep it alive. You got to drop a little something in the something. Got to tip the show. So please help us out. We are, this has been an absolutely summer filled with fucking bloodletting. So if you're in any position to help the show, please do. All right. I guess that's going to do it. I got such a busy day now. Okay, got to do the edging. First, I got to run outside. I got to do the edging. Yesterday, I did all the lawn work, but I didn't do the edging because the battery wasn't charged. And I'm like, well, I'm not just going to. So I decided I would do it today. So I got to do that. Then I got to go run around. I got to go to 3 different stores. And then remember the plan at the beginning of the show? Whatever. It's 2:48. So I got 3 hours. I got to be back here at 6. Hopefully my chicken breasts will be defrosted by then, and I'll be able to make some buffalo chicken breast patties for dinner. Watch myself a baseball game. And then, God willing, we'll all gather back here tomorrow around about the noon hour. As I say, tip the show. Thank you to everybody who have supported the show so far. Follow, Pugs Moran, whether it's on any of the social medias. Just put Pugs Moran into Google, and you'll see Facebook, you'll see Twitter, you'll see all of that. More importantly, Radio Misfits. That's what you need to be liking and following and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to start jumping on now, like doing shows at weird random times just because I got something that I want to do. So I'm going to jump on and do like a 20-minute hit here, a 20-minute hit there. And the only way you're going to be alerted to that is if you are following on Radio Misfits on all the platforms, Radio Misfits on YouTube, all of that good stuff. Also, one last reminder, please tip the show. Help us out if you can. It is how we do this. And other than that, I need y'all to be cool. I need to get outside and start hedging. And then we'll be back tomorrow. All right. Stay neighborly.